Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. 10 minutes to the hour of 7 o'clock. And of course, it's the carnival season. And guess what? PTSC has your back. PTSC is launching bus tours, 2 panyards, and more. Joining us this morning in studio is Patrick Gomez, General Manager, and Patrina Mahabir, Manager, Stakeholder Engagement. Good morning to both of you and welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us so early in the morning. We appreciate it very much.
No problem.
Now, this is such an exciting initiative because the first thing that comes to mind is convenience, safety, ease of access, and so much more. But let's get a bit into the actual initiative itself. Bus it to the sounds of steel. I mean, let's talk about how it enhances the patron's experience, but also how beneficial it's going to be as well, all around. Patrina.
Okay. So we actually developed this a few years ago, and we're trying it this year again. And the intent is really to provide a safe, comfortable mode of transportation for patrons who don't really want to drive.
Right.
They just want to go walk with their coolers and visit the different panyards. So that was really the idea, to offer that safe, convenient, and comfortable mode of transportation to the panyards.
And the fact that you mentioned that this is essentially not the first time means that previously this would have been a success. Is that correct?
Yes, but because it's fairly new, you know, in time, it should pick up.
It will. I think it will pick up as well. It's really just getting familiar with it more than anything else. Many of us have taken the bus for years. So
yes, but in addition to that, we don't only offer this service around Carnival. We recently had our bus to the mall, and we do a lot of bus to the beaches. And on the 22nd of February, we will offer bus to Argyle Falls.
Oh, very nice.
So it's something that is continuous.
Okay. And even though it's new, have you seen some good attendance thus far when it comes to buses?
Definitely. It's heavily subscribed. A lot of persons take it. And as I said, it is the safe option. And persons, it is also a family affair as well. So we see a lot of family groups going and, you know, taking the service.
This is something that is very important, but just shifting back to the pan conversation, particularly because, of course, we're in the carnival season. And as you mentioned, a family affair, I noticed one of the things is that coolers are allowed, but as usual, no eating or drinking is allowed on the bus.
Yes.
How easily do you think it can be managed in that setting? Because, you know, at the end of the day, when revelers go out and enjoy and do whatever, they're definitely going to be a little bit more energetic on the way back to the party.
Of course, we will have a CSR on board. Okay. So we're not leaving the passengers on the bus unsupervised, but we will have persons to monitor.
And another thing when it comes to this, is this a case of we travel from home to maybe City Gates and come to a central location? Is there parking available? How does this work?
So there are different locations. We are offering it from San Fernando and Port of Spain to San Fernando. So yes, we do offer options of parking on the compound. We do have a car park, but persons, if they are interested in parking, they would let us know in advance and we will make the necessary arrangements.
Okay, that's excellent as well. It's good to know that everybody is being accommodated. Mr. Gomez, to bring you into the conversation, quite quiet sitting down there. Good morning again and welcome.
Good morning, ma'am.
So, yes, we're speaking about what's happening with Panorama, but something beautiful as well is this initiative of solar power. Solar power is something that we do see trending throughout Trinidad and Tobago, and we need it. How important is it to ensure that we're using sustainable energy at PTSC for you and your team?
Well, it's very important. PTSC has its renewable energy initiatives. And part of that was the introduction of 5 bus shelters that are solar powered.
Wonderful.
Aruka, Goya Road, and in the Mongtop area. What that affords is lighting throughout the night. You have charging facilities in those shelters. You also have Wi-Fi facilities, and we also have surveillance facilities. Now, the surveillance and the lighting, of course, affords you safety and security. The charging allows patrons to charge their phone. And, of course, we have the Wi-Fi, which allows the connectivity. In the future, we will introduce an app, and those will come together. All of this feeds back into our operation center, which allows us to monitor. So, for example, the surveillance, we can see what is going on in the shelter. If there's an incident, we can interact with the TTPS.
Right.
And we can also see how many people are in the shelter, so it allows us to make decisions with regard to dispatching of buses, etc. So that is how that is supposed to work.
It's good to hear. A well-oiled machine, to say the least. And you basically segued into my next question for you, Patrina, which was when it comes to the safety stakeholders being involved. Do you have that commitment already coming in from staff members and from the TTPS, and so much more as will be needed with such a busy schedule?
Yes, definitely. And we always partner with the TTPS to ensure safety of all. We do have a security department as well.
Nice.
Right? And as Mr. Gomez would have mentioned, we do have the operations center that will also assist.
So I'm looking right now at the schedule for buses to Pan Semis, and you would have mentioned coming from San Fernando as well. So I see here Point Fortin via San Fernando and Chaguanas as well.
Yes, that is the bus to the Pan Semis on the 16th.
On the 16th.
Yes.
And there are 2 departure times, 11 a.m. and noon.
12. Yes.
Wonderful. And the return time in the evening, going all the way back, well, Chaguanas, Sando, and then to Point Fortin is at 8 p.m. And I see the same is applicable from Sangre Grande via Rima to the Queen's Park Savannah as well. Can you just confirm the cost here? I'm seeing the cost is $50.
$50.
And this is round trip? Or
it is round trip, and also the bus to the Sounds of Steel, it's also $50.
Okay. And as you mentioned, coolers being allowed, is there a restriction on the type of coolers? Because, you know, sometimes people will go on their coolers. I mean, they're bigger than this table.
Well, we have the undercarriage of the buses.
Okay.
So the coolers can be housed in that area. And it's a very sizable area.
Okay.
So that large coolers are allowed. The only restriction is the eating and drinking on the bus, which we don't allow under any circumstance.
In general, yeah.
In general. But it's meant to have you enjoy the activity, but you don't have to worry yourself with parking, with safety of your vehicle, with driving after the event. And that is what we are selling, safety and security.
Wonderful. So if you're just joining us, we're speaking this morning to the General Manager and Stakeholder Engagement Manager of PTSC about the Busted initiative that is taking place. Now, today we are specifically focusing on Pan. So if you're going to the yards, if you are, of course, going to Pan Semis, you do have the option to be safe, most important. And it's great as well for those who are not too sure about carpooling. We don't want you to drink and drive. Great time as well, 8 p.m. That is, you know, a pretty good cutoff time because you need to be going to work, right, on Monday morning, hopefully. That is for sure. But something that you would have mentioned, Patrina, that I would love to just go back into is the fact that this Busted initiative is not just for Pan. You mentioned the beach, you mentioned Argyle Falls, and so much more. Is it that the cost that you would have shared earlier, the $50, is a standard cost, or does it vary depending on the destination?
Yes, it varies depending on the destination, but we would advertise way in advance. So the Argyle Falls is actually sold out.
Okay.
That was $150. Now, we are bringing persons from Point Fortin, and we partnered with Cal, and then when they arrive to Tobago, we will take them to Argyle Falls.
Yeah, a bus meets you. Well, you're picked up in Point Fortin. A bus carries you to the airport. You take a plane. A bus meets you at the airport, and you're taken to Argyle Falls, and in reverse.
Just a slight malfunction this morning on the Now Morning Show on my part. So you're saying that was $150?
So that does not include the plane tickets.
Like, what? I was my heart.
Yes. But we do a lot of the inter-island buses, and it has proven to be a success.
Okay. So right after this conversation, I mean, if we weren't sold for Pan, we're definitely sold for Tobago. So where can we get more information about upcoming initiatives?
Well, you can access the information on all our social media. So on Facebook, PTSCTT, Instagram, PTSC Trinidad and Tobago, X formerly Twitter, also PTSCTT, and we do have our website, www.ptsc.co.tt.
Okay, so we have a pressing question coming from our team upstairs who are wondering, if the person misses their flight or misses their bus, what happens?
Well...
You miss it. Exactly.
But if you do give us sufficient notice, we will refund.
So again, moving away from palm, but keeping in this trend of conversation, because it's something so great that you're doing as well. Because I remember, there would have always been like the Know Your Country tour, those sorts of things. And you're opening up avenues to people who may not necessarily be able to access or just be aware of what the country has to offer. So in light of that, is this something that we're going to see continue throughout the year, going to different like heritage sites, nature reserves and more?
Definitely. And we will partner with the Trinidad and Tobago Tour Guide Association to have those Know Your Country tours.
Excellent. Well, before we close this morning, Mr. Gomez, any closing comments for Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, PTSC is driving its sustainable renewable energy agenda. Part of that is the introduction of 40 buses, electric buses, which we have going through the procurement process. So that is something to look forward over the next year that will be introduced. We already have CNG buses in the fleet.
Yes.
So we continue to drive that agenda. And any future development, we will include in the design and construction renewable energy solutions.
Wonderful. And Petrino?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And as I said, we do have a number of marketing initiatives throughout the year. And we really, it's part of the customer engagement, the customer satisfaction. Because a lot of persons, they just want to leave their car at home and take the bus. It's, as I said, it's an affordable, safe option.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we'll be seeing you again soon, some way, somehow. Have a great day and have a safe carnival.
Day.
Okay.
Petrina Mahabir and Patrick Gomez from PTSC joining us this morning to share about the Busted initiative. You need to check them out on social media. And you also need to stay tuned because your birthdays are coming up right after this break.